What's going on YouTube? Darksword255 here. The numbers may be randomly generated, but the content itself is not. And guys, we are going to be having a Sylvan Watchers summon pool where the headliner champions are Caldor and the newest champion. So it's been a long time since I've made a guide on my boy Caldor. He's one of my favorite champions, guys. So in today's video, we're going to be jumping into how to build Caldor. Hopefully you guys pull him. He's an amazing champion, and it is a huge account boost if you do get him. We'll go into the build, how to build him. I already said build like 9 times. Build him, runes, relics, all that stuff. We're gonna go into it and how to like pair him with teams because he's a pretty finicky champion. Without further ado, guys, enough of me yapping. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alrighty, guys, my boy Caldor here. I have a pretty unique perspective that I think I'll be able to really give you guys, since I have almost all of the really powerful Sylvan Watch champions other than, Nice. I would love to have a Nice. I feel like everybody would love to have a Nice, but enough of that, guys. 6-star on him. He's an amazing champion, obviously. Even without the 6-star, he's amazing. So let's go ahead, guys. Enough of me yippity yapping. Let's jump into his kit. His A1 attacks all enemies. Has a 15% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. Will ignore 20% of the target's resist for each continuous heal buff on this champion. And we will come to notice, guys, how important not only continuous heals are, but poison buffs. That's his A1. Really awesome AoE attack. His A2, you basically select the target. If there's one person, you can only pick one. But anyways, if the target is an enemy, decrease the duration of all buffs on enemies by 1 turn. Places a 5% poison debuff on all enemies for 2 turns, and an additional 5% poison for each 2 turns of continuous HP on this champion. These debuffs cannot be resisted, and then instantly activate 1 tick of all poison debuffs on all allies. Now, this is the important part, right? You can either do it on the enemy or you do it on yourself. It's one or the other. Either you're putting a lot of, I'm jumping ahead of myself. If the target is an ally, increase the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn, and instantly activates 1 tick of all continuous HP buffs on all allies. Places a perfect veil on this champion for 2 turns, and then places continuous HPs on this champion for 2 turns, another HP. So much continuous healing on everybody and yourself. So the thing that's very finicky about this particular skill, guys, is it's one or the other. Either you're putting poisons down on the enemy, or you're putting a bunch of HP, continuous HP on all of your champions, including obviously Caldor here. Finally, fill this champion's turn meter by 15% for each buff or debuff placed. So you could be putting a ton of debuffs and then getting a ton of turn meter, or vice versa. You're getting a ton. You're giving your team one or the other. The computer, the AI that runs this is a little bit funky. They actually ended up having to change it because of how it works. It's very important to make that distinction now, because when we talk about building teams, it's important to keep this in mind. Let's go ahead and jump over to his A3. Now, this is where it gets a little bit funky, more funky. Attacks 1 enemy before attacking, has a 100% chance of removing all debuffs from the target, and then places that a decreased defense, a weaken, and will ignore the target's defense for each continuous heals on this champion. And this is HP and scales up HP and attack. Your attack, the enemy HP. But look again, look at this. Removes all buffs from all enemies from the initial target if the initial target is killed. So let's just say, the initial target that this is your most like really hard hitting move, right? You kill somebody, and this is with the Sylvan Watchers. If you have a bunch of them on your team, you kill somebody, it strips all of the buffs from everybody else, just because. Ignore 5% of the target's defense for each poison. Again, poisons and continuous heals, really important on this guy. Now, this is my favorite part right here. If you have 3 faction allies, if the initial target is under a poison debuff, also attack all other champions. The damage dealt is proportional to the target's HP. I mean, it's capped unfortunately for bosses, but it all depends on how many poison debuffs are on everybody, right? The damage dealt is proportional to the initial target's max HP and how many poison debuffs on them. So if you go to attack let's say you're doing wave content, let's do whatever, right? You're doing anything, and that one target you use your big hit on has a ton of poison buffs. You strip all of the buffs, so block, whatever, all gone from everybody else. You do an unbelievable amount of damage, and then that damage is spread. It's just a chef's kiss, right? Really, really important. And then it obviously puts the decreased defense and weaken, right? And it's booked down from a 4-turn to a 3-turn. Amazing. Now, now we're jumping to his big boy passive right here. Will ignore 15% of the target's defense when attacking while under a perfect veil or, a veil debuff. This champion receives 30% less damage from enemies when not under a perfect veil. So it's crazy. If you're not under perfect veil, you take less damage. If you're under a perfect veil, you deal more damage. And then this is where building him and his damage output is really, really shown right here, guys. And this is, again, why you really need to pair him with a bunch of faction allies. Is he good as a standalone champion? He's okay. But his real raw power is when you pair him with other people in his faction. Each continuous heal buff on this champion increases his crit chance by 20%. Amazing, right? Each time a continuous heal buff active, oh my gosh. Each time a continuous heal buff activates on this champion also fills their turn by 8%. So like when it activates, you're feeling the turn meter. Amazing, right? Oh, and you're going to be, again, when you're building this, you're going to be building a lot of people, activating continuous heals. Each time a continuous heal buff activates on this champion or an ally, increase this champion's damage by 5% up to 150%. So as the battle progresses, Caldor is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. He is a powerhouse. He is an amazing champion. He's amazing for any kind of boss, any kind of wave clearing content. If you are having problems knocking down a boss, this is your guy. His aura is great. More crit rate, 25%, and also gives Sylvan Watchers 15% on his team. Now, again, you can build him in such a unique way. Before I go into the blessings, I want to talk about how you can build him. It's very, very important to talk about this. So when you're building Caldor, you don't need to have high crit rate if he's the faction, if he's like your leader, right? You're getting that 20% crit rate, right? Then every time you have a continuous heal on, you get an additional. So how I initially built him when I first got him, when he first came out, is I had his crit rate down to, I think, like 30%. It was really low. It was really, really low, right? And I had everything like really tuned up higher. The reason that I ended up changing the build is because I wanted to be a little bit more consistent, right? I didn't want to have to rely on him having a lot of continuous healing, right? So with the 60%, right? If he's the leader, right? He gets 25, so 60, 70, 85, right? So he has 85, and then it's very easy for him to land, to get that last little bit of crit rate, right? Very easy to get that last 20%. He's going to be everybody, when you build a team on him, will give him the last. I found that this is the safer way to build him. You don't have to do what I do, right? There are different ways to build him and run him in teams. Like if you're going to be running him with a bunch of other buff extenders, you can get away with having this even lower. When I initially had him, this is before Titus was around, right? I had him I paired him with a lot of buff extenders, so he would always have continuous heals. Your team would have continuous heals. It was just never ending. It was just never ending. So just my own personal opinion. Now talking about, you know, what gear sets to have him in. If you want to have the best, definitely having him in a 9-piece merciless set would obviously be the goal. For me, I was just caring more about raw stats. I mean, like, for me, merciless 35%, mwah, chef kiss, right? And then just the more raw stats. That was a sentence. More raw stats. The pinpoint doesn't necessarily matter. 9-piece merciless, obviously lethal, secondary choice. I would not put him in protection or feral. Like, you can use I wouldn't do any of that stuff. You want him to do as much damage as possible. I mean, if you can get him in a 9-piece swift parry, you know, obviously that's the most damage. But, like, you know, merciless is the goal. So number 1, merciless, lethal, and you could put him in Slayer as well. So, you know, Slayer is good because your A1 is going to be doing AoE. You know, like, you could put him in Slayer with his A1. I don't think Slayer works with his A3, even though I think it counts as individual hits. I'll show you when we go into the play testing how it kind of looks. I don't think you could go with Slayer. You could go with Slayer. You could go with Slayer. I think that I would rather have him in lethal personally, but Slayer is still a good option because your A1, which you're going to be doing a lot, is still an AoE. You know, that's, you know, right off the bat. So he's not a champion personally I would recommend really ever using in PvP. I really tried to get him to work in PvP. I also tried to see if you would strip total guard stacks, and it doesn't work. You could put him in like a deflection set, but he just is not a champion that you really want to try to use. Again, try to use him, try to get him to work. Not really meant. Definitely not in this meta for sure. Like, maybe it's a stone scan meta. You could have maybe like worked him out, but especially since we just got this new champion, Foland. I was trying to pair them both together in PvP. It doesn't work. Just hashtag trust me. Definitely more of a PvE champion, but he is so, before Titus, he, in my opinion, was the, other than Trunda, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, individually wise, amazing. Like, you could do a full run, like AFK run, and he would be on par. He's an amazing champion. Now, guys, jumping over to, we'll talk about blessings. I think personally, I came very close to switching out Nature's Wrath with Crushing Rend. Again, I have a 6-star soul, right? Crushing Rend is a possibility, but Nature's Wrath for Caldor is just so good. Increases the damage inflicted by this champion for every debuff they place successfully, except, you know, well, obviously we're putting down a lot of poisons. And with Nature's Wrath, we're increasing our damage by up to 30%, right? And even you know, outside of the 6-star, right? Really just keeping Nature's Wrath in general with him is the call. And you want to do any of these prolonged battle champions, Crocart, I'm saying his name probably wrong. You know, Thor, like any of those, you know, Ninja even, right? Like, when you're going to be doing long battles, you're putting a lot of debuffs down, you definitely want to keep, in my opinion, you know, Nature's Wrath. You could also do Brimstone, I would still just probably leave Nature's Wrath. Again, Crushing Rend was an option. You could, you're building so much ignore defense. It's not really worth it, right? And we want as much scaling damage as possible, right? Because again, he scales damage with, as you know, every time a continuous HP is activated, right? He's just constantly scaling. So I would just say Nature's Wrath. Don't go with anything else, in my humble opinion. Now, moving over to relics, you could so obviously Cascades could be good. It's very good, you know, for stats wise. Yeah, I'm going to show you guys. Yeah, like I only have one Cascades and right now it's on your boy Titus. Where is it? Right here. You know, great. Okay, good. My face isn't covering it. Great stats for him. Great, amazing stats for your boy Caldor, right? Attack and crit, like amazing. Even more ignore defense, right? But we already have a lot of ignore with our, you know, masteries, and we'll jump into that. So, like, could Cascades be good? Yeah, it could be good. But the Cornet is probably going to be his best. Followed by, obviously, Perched Shadows is great. You know, put that on him. Just more attacks, more scaling. The more continuous HP you're putting down, more scaling, blah, blah, more attacks, blah, blah, blah. You know, Perched Shadow would be great. Cornet is probably still his best. Where is this brand new relic from the Grim Forest is also, my face is covering it. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Whenever the wearer places a poison, you basically put more down, right? So this could be good. Again, the Cornet is just so much easier to get. You know, it's just, I would just stay with this personally, but you know, you could go with this as well. More poisons, you know, great. I almost experimented with the Arachnelixir. This would be really, really like sly OP for him because again, we're putting down a ton of poisons and they're constantly activating. And right, he's an attack-based champion. We want really high attack on him. So you could go with that, but again, you know, the thing about the Cornet, which is really nice, is you get to stack this a lot quicker. Which is really nice. You know, obviously the higher level. I personally did not try, and of course I'm saying this now when I was going to test it and then I just didn't. The Arachnelixir. It might be actually better than the Cornet, but if you are not into faction wars hard and you don't have an Arachnelixir, like I don't have one on my free-to-play account, even though my free-to-play account's pretty good. You know, I have a ton of Cornets. It's easier to get the Cornet. I would say between these two is what you would go on Caldor, you know, especially in like wave-based content. Oh, this would be so, if you were going with wave-based content, Arachnelixir every day of the week. If you're doing bosses, which I am personally using, Cornet is better. Just my opinion, of course, you know. Moving over to the masteries, guys. I'm blocking it. Gosh darn it. Hold on one second. Let me just move myself right out of the way just real quick for this. Perfect. Now I'm in the middle. Really, really easy. Really quick, you know. Crit rate. Got damage. We got Hull Smasher here. More ignore defense. Then we have 35% plus this. You know, we have a pretty good amount of ignore defense. Plus, again, don't forget our kick, guys, gives us ignore defense as well, depending on all this stuff that we have on the enemies. Obviously, a little bit of accuracy thrown in here as well. Lore Steel for, you know, we're just trying to milk at the most amount of stats as we can. This is pretty good. You could go with Sniper instead, but Master Hexer is pretty good. The chance of getting an extra turn from poisons is worth it. You know, instead of you getting, again, I'm blocking it. Gosh, I don't know where to put my face, guys. Let me move myself back. You know, blocking it, but I would say we go with this. Again, we don't really want it's War Master. I don't know. I think that there's been enough testing done between War Master and Helm Smasher that Helm Smasher is better overall, especially with we have ignore defense from our gear, we have ignore defense from our masteries, and we have ignore defense from our actual kit. So again, my humble opinion with all of this, guys. So in priority of stats, guys, again, I know that I quickly looked over this with you guys. Priority of stats, we need to have enough accuracy, obviously, to land our debuffs. But don't forget, guys, the more we have a lot. The more continuous healing we have, the less resistance. The more resistance, ignoring resistance that we get, right? But I think it's still overall better to aim for, you know, the minimum threshold in general if you can, and especially if you have I have a high blessing, so it's easy. It's easy, right? Priority of stats, obviously attack. We want high attack. Figure out your strategy, guys, how you want to do your crit rate. You don't have to have a 100% crit rate. If you want to go lower, you can do that, right? You just have to build a team, calculate how much continuous heals you think you're going to basically continuously have on Caldor, then build towards that, right? Obviously, the higher the crit damage, the better. So, right? Attack, speed, crit damage, and obviously accuracy to land your debuffs. But, you know, the more attack we have, the more damage we're going to do. So, go in that order. And okay, guys, he's actually, in my opinion, pretty easy. Just pick any like a damage dealing champion that you don't have to build 100% crit rate on. I feel like it's been a lot easier for me to build. I mean, also 8,000 attack is insane. I mean, obviously, I probably could have got it up higher if I really wanted to, and even got better crit damage. But good enough, you know, good enough. So let's go ahead, guys. I'm going to jump over to Doom Tower real quick, and I'm going to show you guys just a quick little team that I use, and we'll run through a quick little test. Alrighty, guys. Now, obviously, you don't have to run this amount of Sylvan Watchers. You just need 3 additional ones. You can change out anybody here. It also, you know, anybody here. But I really just kind of wanted to briefly show you guys like how Caldor works. It's again really awesome, right? So, gonna transform. We're just gonna put a bunch of continuous healing down, right? Not a problem. Let's get some more continuous healing down. Yeah, let's get more continuous healing down. I know that he's frozen. It's okay. When Alva gets to go, we'll unfreeze him. Perfect. Right? Now watch. So we have 2 options. Look at his turn meter right here. We're going to bam. Basically just got my turn. Just got a turn again. And then watch what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this big boy attack, and we're going to hit the torment over here. Now watch what's gonna happen. The initial hit's gonna go off first, and then there's gonna be like vines that show up. Bam. And the reason that happened was again because we attacked with that we attacked a target that had poisons on it, and then so it separated and killed everybody. I mean, I just nuked him. We saw how much damage I just did. Like, the damage that you do is insane. Every time he's just continuously scaling with his passive right here. 276,000 damage with his A1. Just with his A1. You know what? I'm just gonna cleanse. Ready? I'm just gonna auto attack. 250,000. Just insane. I weak hit these 2, which is kind of embarrassing. You guys didn't see that. Yeet. 176,000 just with his A1. Dude, it feels, it's just so disgusting. It's disgusting. Ready? Watch this. Ready? Poisons down on everybody. Give myself a little bit of a block, whatever. Give myself some more shields and HP healing. This is quite amazing. All right, let's hit this guy. Easy. It would help if we would stop weak hitting. But you guys can see, I mean, obviously I'm manualing this, right? Like this could be a totally full auto team, but this is hard Doom Tower. You know, like the champions here are not, you know, the easiest, right? So pretty, you know, the guy's 400,000 damage. Like 400,000 damage. Like he just does so much. He does so much damage. Now, I am sad to say, and will be just to show you how amazing Caldor is as well. So I thought that I recorded a video of me doing this, and I had it saved, and it's gone. It's gone. I don't know where it is. It's gone. Now, you can one-shot Amius. I don't have the right build to do it, but you can one-shot Amius. This is Amius hard. This is Curse City hard. right? And just to showcase that, yes, I did do it. Did it in 48 turns. I think I was just, I don't remember the reason why it took me as long. I mean, it's the best in my clan. But if you have a reset champion here, like Donnie, you just reset and he just will obliterate the boss. He will obliterate it. I mean, I could, again, I really wanted to, I could make this team faster. I don't necessarily care. You know, really, like, he just hits so hard, especially, again, the most annoying boss in the stinking game, which is hard, which, you know, just Curse City hard is just so annoying. But no, he can really, like I said, one-shot big bosses. Now, let's just quickly, guys, I'm just going to show you a little bit of a Nightmare Hydra run. Now, this is the team that I just, again, very quickly threw together. Very quickly. And this is Nightmare. Okay, keep in mind, this is Nightmare, guys. Right? So, get the continuous healing down. We're going to taunt this big bad boy. Give myself some nice little shields. We're going to go under the veil. Well, let's attack all ally. Oh, I'll attack all allies. Yeet. Almost 350,000 damage, by the way, guys. 350,000 damage. Just one attack. We haven't even started. Watch. We haven't even scaled very hard. We haven't even scaled. We're going to attack this Hydra head right here. 1.2 million. And that's one turn for the boss. Like, we have not even scaled. We haven't even scaled, right? So the longer this battle goes on, the more damage that we're going to do. And that's why it's so important when you're building teams. You have teams that are either activating continuous healing or placing poisons. So when Caldor does his A3, I'm just gonna attack, right? When he does his A3, it guarantees splashes to everybody else. And that's why I really like pairing him with the, you know, like this guy right here, because when he gets hit, he activates poisons and he activates continuous healing, right? So we are able to scale Caldor's damage very, very quickly. And again, this is not an optimized team at all. Just like I said, just not optimized at all. Like this team, again, 2.7 billion damage. We literally just two-shot this Hydra head. Two-shot it. Just gone. You know, that's all she wrote, right? Like this team will do, you know what? I will use one of my Hydra keys just for you guys, just to showcase. This is because I love you guys, okay? We did full auto. Almost 600 million damage, guys. Full auto. Not an optimized team. I just threw this team together. I'm gonna move myself out of the way so you guys can see. Caldor did 512,000 damage himself. Crazy, right? Crazy. Like, I was crazy once. And I'm really sad that I have to disregard that team because my tightest team will do better. There is something that I do want to say, guys. I'm going to show you guys the Chimera team that back in the day, and this is before they changed how Caldor does his A2. So if you guys remember, Caldor's A2 is also a buff extender. So when you're building a tightest team, you need 2 buff extenders and a reset champion, right? So if you had another buff extender and a crazy damage dealer like Caldor, you could run him in a Chimera team, and this team would do 1 billion damage. And it would do about 5 to 6 trials. The problem is, this team, since they have changed how the algorithm works with Caldor, instead of him doing a buff extend, he will put poisons down on the boss. So now, yes, you could use him, right? You could use him in this team, but it's 100% a manual team, which sucks. It sucks to use him with Titus because, again, 100%, it used to be 100% go. I literally was in I almost made a video about it because he came out. I was like, oh my God, I can pair him with Titus. He's a buff extender. He's awesome. Like, I can't wait. And then they changed how his A3 works. And now I can't use him in this team because I am not gonna manual this entire thing. Like, I'm not a psychopath, but you could if you wanted to. You know, he is amazing for Chimera. And again, he's really, really good for bosses in general. I would show you guys Grim Forest as well. I use him in Grim Forest. And on, you know, in hard, he one shot he almost one shot this. Just absolute insanity. The problem is you need HP burn, and I had to like rotate it. It was just so annoying. I had to rotate it to get somebody with HP burn to kill this boss, but he hits unbelievably hard. So guys, if you are struggling with like I said, wave-based content, amazing. If you're struggling with Chimera, amazing. If you're struggling with Hydra, amazing. But again, you have to pair him with certain champions. Well, not certain champions, he's just better to pair him with. So when you're building a team, guys, I'm just going to show you this team, and I'll just explain how, you know, different people that you can throw in here, right? For me personally, obviously, Arbitus is amazing, right? Arbitus is amazing. She's a mythical. Obviously, she's amazing. Here, let me go ahead and do this. All right, guys, I just jumped over here. I just did, you know, just explain like who I think would be really good, you know, supplements the pair Caldor with. Obviously, Elva's amazing. Her perfect veil. Her A1 puts a continuous healing down. Amazing. Obviously, Feral is amazing. You know, he is a huge, you know, great utility champion. Podrag is god tier. If you have a Podrag with Caldor, it is a god tier like matchup together, right? Obviously, Astrid right here, she does increase attack. She's awesome as well. Also, Lady, I think it's Ithra. She's really good. I actually did use her for a while also because she puts continuous healing down and she does skill decreased skill cooldown. So, you know, really, really awesome as well to use her. If you are down bad, you can also, so you can use the priest over here. He puts poisons down. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, you don't, not, you know, I probably, you know, yeah, white, I think it's white. She's, oh my God, in the vault. She's great because she is a reset champion, of course. Reset, weaken, strengthen. Oh my God, dude, what is wrong with me tonight? She's great. She's also really great to pair with Caldor. Fallen, amazing as well. Again, you know, I wanted to pair it when in, like, let's say like faction wars. Chef kiss, you know, pairing him with Caldor and faction wars. Like, Caldor one shots the faction wars hard boss, one shots him just because of how much damage he does. I think like 4 million damage. Just amazing. Obviously, Aurelia. It's hard to say who he doesn't go with well in the Sylvan Watchers, because the Sylvan Watchers are such amazing and spectacular supports. So you can really pair him with, I mean, you just need 3, right? You just need 3 and they all work really well with each other. I mean, again, best in class, I would say the pair Caldor with Feral would be number 1. Podrag would be number 1, but Feral, Podrag, obviously Arbias, or Estrid would be amazing also, right? You don't want to pair Glaciad and Feral because they perfect veil. The only thing that's great about Glaciad is he does the perfect veil. He puts a perfect veil down and increased attack, and he's a reviver. Baldur is just okay. The problem with Baldur is that he's doing single target attacks and placing poisons and stuff. We want to really hammer home, and we're really putting all of our eggs into the basket with Caldor here, right? We want him to attack a lot. We want him to stack as quickly as possible and then attack. I really love this guy, and I hope that this updated guide helps you guys out. If you did pull him, awesome. Outside of that, guys, I will see everybody in the next one.